The MOS of a 37 Fox in the United States Army is a psychological operations specialist, otherwise known as Psyops. Now, the job duties of a 37 Fox involves utilizing different mediums, different media, and all sorts of other assets to be able to influence the specific target, whether that's civilian or enemy, to gather intel and do a lot of other functions. So they're utilizing a lot of psychological warfare that they have been trained on to try to gather intel, but they're also using some of their skills to do advisement for maybe some local, maybe civilians or local governments to assist with whatever the mission calls for. Psyops is a part of the Special Operations Unit, so that could potentially mean that they will be working with maybe some special forces on some different missions and different operations. This MOS is available for enlisted individuals looking to go active duty, National Guard, or reserves. It is also available for individuals that are currently in the United States Army, but there is some different requirements than what I'm going to talk about here. Now, for the individuals that are looking to join the United States Army into Psyops, well, there are some requirements with that. Of course, you have to meet the minimum requirements to join the United States Army, and you're also going to have to take the ASVAB test. Now, specifically on the ASVAB, they're going to be looking at the general technical section, and I've seen a couple different numbers as far as what they're looking for. The U.S. Army website officially says 107, but I've also heard 105, so expect to, score well in the general technical section if you want to qualify for this MOS. In addition to the ASVAB, it also requires language because there is language training involved. So you are going to have to take the DLAB, or the Defense Institute Language Aptitude Battery Test. So you're going to have to take the language test to make sure you qualify to be able to learn language. Now, as far as scoring on the DLAB, from what I've heard, is you have to score at least a 75 or higher in that test to be able to be eligible as well. Because this MOS works with sensitive information, it does require a secret clearance, so anything that may prevent you from being able to obtain a secret clearance could disqualify you from this MOS. Now, the initial training for this MOS is a little bit different than a lot of other MOSs, as it requires an individual to go off to one station unit training, otherwise known as OSIT, at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, for 31 Bravo, which is a military police officer. So a soldier would go through that 31 Bravo training, and once they have completed the 31 Bravo training, they will then go off to airborne school, as airborne is a requirement for Psyops. Once a soldier has completed their airborne training at Fort Benning, Georgia, they will then go off to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where they'll go through 8 weeks for this selection course. So a soldier will have to pass the course, be selected for Psyops. So essentially, if they were to fail it, I don't know if they give you multiple opportunities to try to redo it or to try to pass it, but essentially, because you've already done 31 Bravo training, you probably would just become a military police officer if you were to fail to make selection. If a soldier is selected after that 8 weeks of training, they will then continue on training at Fort Bragg, North Carolina for the qualification course, otherwise known as the Q course. As far as the length of that Q course, it can really vary depending on the language the individual is going to be learning and studying, so could be anywhere from 35 weeks to 45 weeks. It can possibly vary based on the training. Now, also important to note, if you are someone looking at this MOS for Reserves and National Guard, the selection course is not a requirement. You will not have to go through the selection course if you're doing it for Reserves and National Guard. You will still have to do the Q course, but you don't have to make selection. As a result of that, I have heard stories that individuals on the Reserve National Guard side don't do as cool of stuff as people on active duty side, so maybe keep that in mind as well. Now, possibly somewhere in the Q course, maybe after the Q course, a soldier that is coming into the Army into this MOS is then going to go off to the leadership course for the rank of a sergeant or E5, as this will allow them to get promoted to an E5. So you can potentially fast track through the ranks of the enlisted ranks in this MOS if that's something you're interested in and something you qualify for. I've also seen the points currently are really low for Staff Sergeant, like 15 points. So this is possibly an MOS that if you do meet the requirements and you can get selected and get through the Q course and everything, you could rank up pretty quickly in this MOS. Now, once a soldier is done with that initial training, they then go off to their Psyops unit, and based on probably their job duties and their responsibilities, this is potentially an MOS that possibly would deploy a lot. Now, that could be to a combat zone, a non-combat zone, but their job is primarily in those types of environments, and when they're not in those environments, then they're probably training for it. So the day-to-day lifestyle could involve a lot of training to stay up to date on how to operate in that kind of environment, and then in between going on these combat deployments or non-combat deployments. So that can really kind of vary. So kind of keep that in mind. You probably have a pretty rigorous type of kind of schedule with training or deployments. Now, for individuals that maybe are not interested in doing this for 20 plus years and retiring out of the Army, there isn't really a direct type of civilian job that really correlates with the military job, really. So that can really vary. I mean, you might be able to do things maybe with the FBI, maybe the NSA, based on your qualifications, maybe things with public relations, some kind of advisory type of positions. So just be aware there is no direct kind of relation from a civilian job to this military job, but I'm sure it can probably open up a lot of opportunities based on the skills you do learn in the United States Army. If there's any viewers out there that are currently in the Army in this MOS as a 37 Fox, maybe some individuals that have gotten out of the Army and were in this MOS, I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comment section down below as to what is some of your thoughts on this MOS. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are the pros? What are some cons? What is some of the day-to-day lifestyle like? Maybe provide some information for those individuals that are interested in this MOS. If you have any questions about this MOS, try to drop those down in the comment section down below. I may not be able to answer them, but there might be some viewers out there that might be able to answer your questions, so leave any questions you have about this MOS down below. If you have any other MOSs that I have not yet covered, maybe suggest some down below. I have a playlist right here of the other MOS Monday episodes that I have done, so check those out. I also have my latest video upload right there for you to check out. Links in the description box for social media, all sorts of things. Hit that thumbs up. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.